What is going on, guys? My name is Nostalgia FPS. You may see me on the Aim Trainer as Corporate Serf, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you how I got to Celestial number 3 for Voltaic Precise Tracking here on Snake Track Advanced. So let's first address something here real quick. What the hell is Serf talking about? Aren't all these videos the same? You see, I have 4 videos on kovaaks talking about tracking and talking about the best ways, the most efficient ways to see improvement in your aim training. I don't ever talk about technique. I'm not trying to fix your aim. You see, what I'm after is the best ways to grind kovaaks. How can you most optimally see gains? How do we push through plateaus? So let's look at my first video here. I was talking about how to isolate for size as a difficulty factor. The second video I talk about your form and how to isolate weak points of your form. The third video we're talking about speed and adjusting for speed. And in the fourth video I talk about sensitivity, finding your right sensitivity for a scenario. Does that all sound like the same to you? It doesn't sound like the same to me. So let's find what is the last missing link into our Thanos tracking ability. The last gem to the Thanos tracking gauntlet. It's progressive overload. We got a little definition here. I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. Progressive overload is a training principle that involves gradually increasing the demands placed on the body, in this case it would also be on the mind, over time to promote adaptation and improvement. Progressive overload comes from the weightlifting community, but it has great parallels to aim training. So how can we progressively overload here in aim training? Well, if you look at my last 4 fucking videos, we have size reduction, speed increase, sensitivity challenge, and form isolation. Now, 4 right here might be a little confusing. Form isolation, I mean, I know you talked about it a little bit, but like, are we really saying that's how you progressively overload? Well, look at my friend, my goat, Astariel. This absolute gangster hit his best score on 110 CM 360. Now, is somebody out there gonna tell me that he can't get a higher score on a lower sensitivity? Because if he plays this again on 80 CM or 70 or 60, he might be the next Celestial on this. So this is just an example that goes back to crediting form isolation. Alright, all that intro aside, let's go ahead and dive into exactly how we're going to be progressively overloading. So step number 1 here, we're going to be setting targets. You want to choose one high-end target. This is where you're heading on a scenario. So when I was Nova and Astra, this was my high-end target at Celestial, and then we want a minimum target. This minimum target is usually very far away from the rank you're after or the rank you're currently on. For me, I chose Jade 700 energy, so if you do this yourself, you can set a target that's like 500 energy away. So step number 2 here, form a plan. What exactly are we playing when we're trying to hit that minimum target? Well, you need to create a fast and small variant of the scenario you're playing. So this example here, I have Snake Track Elite Hard, which is faster and smaller by nature than Snake Track Advanced. And what we're doing is we're starting out making this scenario bigger than what it actually is. So Snake Track Elite Hard has a radius of 10. I started all the way down here on 15 radius. Once I hit my target here, 2350, then I move on to a harder version of the scenario. So how do we make a variant to train with here on kovaaks? First thing you're going to do is search this scenario up. In the Online Scenarios tab, you're going to make sure you download it. I already have it downloaded. Then you're going to go to Local, search the same thing, and then on the pencil here, you hit Edit Scenario. Yes, every time. Always hit yes on that. Find what the bot actually is, so it's a snake bot for this. Hit Boxes, and then the radius is usually the one that you want to change. So we did 11 there. Save as, and then I put like 11 radius just because that's what I changed. Alright, so looking here now for part 2 of step 2 with setting targets, we're going to look at the high-end target, which is going to be bigger and at a regular speed. By nature, it's going to be slower than your minimum target, right? Because the minimum target is smaller and faster. So when we go back to the high-end target, it's going to be bigger and slower. As you can see with my example here on the bottom left, we see my snake track radiuses. I started at 25, worked my way all the way down to 17. Snake Track Advance is 16.5 radius. I have Celestial on that. So if I were to continue, I'd start at either 16 or 15. Again, as you can see as well, with this example here with snake track 18 radius, my score is 4139, decently well above the 40-50 threshold, which showed me that it was time to move on. So one last final thing to this video here, and then I'm going to show you guys my VOD for my Celestial run, and that will complete this video. When you guys get stuck on one of these scenarios, I find it helpful to challenge myself with different sensitivities. You can look back and watch my video on sensitivity cascading, kind of as a guide to using sensitivity to push yourself. The next thing I do when I'm stuck is I look for weaknesses within my form. So if I'm having a hard time going on a faster sensitivity, it might be because my fingertip or wrist aim is not as strong. You can check out the Corporate Surf smoothness training method for how to address areas of your form. And then the last thing when you're stuck is to spend more time on the other variant of the scenario you're stuck on. So if you're stuck on the minimum, then you can work more on the high end, or if you're stuck on the high end, you can spend more time on the minimum. The reason this works a lot of time, and I'm going to use tracking as an example, is on these high end, larger scenarios that move slower than the other one, it's going to be addressing more of our smoothness. When we're working on the minimum end, when it's smaller and faster, that emphasizes more of your precision within your tracking. And so if you spend more time on one or the other, it's going to help you just a net total benefit when you go back to the other. Alright everybody, we're at the end of this video. I just wanted to give a huge thank you to everyone for the support recently on my channel. I'm getting close to 1,000 subscribers and 100,000 views. It means a lot to me because when I was in college, I was in the first year engineering program at my school. I wanted to be a civil engineer, but that freshman year of college is when I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and I tried to stick through it, but I eventually ended up dropping out. I work at a fast food restaurant now, and for so long I just felt disappointed in myself that I was disappointed that I wasn't strong enough to make it through. In a lot of ways I felt like a failure. I just wanted to say thank you guys for giving me something to believe in again, giving me something to be excited over. You know, everybody talks about video games like it's some kind of degenerate plague that people fall into. To me, they are everything. The fact that I hit Celestial twice on Snake Track, it's one of the coolest accomplishments in my life. Thank you guys for letting me share that experience with all of you. I hope to see you all become tracking Thanos with these methods that I'm putting out there. Thank you all so much for everything.